was a big day for Bill. He arrived in class early that morning to make sure that everything was ready. And he was a little nervous. Most of my student teachers are when they take over an actual class for the first time. But I wasn't worried about Bill. As his supervising teacher, I knew him to be capable, earnest, and eager. He had the makings of a fine teacher. He had a good understanding of theory. Now what he needed was more practical experience. If anything, Bill was a little too eager. I sensed that the moment I walked into the room that morning. Who's this guy Euclid, anyway?
Oh, hello, Mr. Vance.
How do you feel now that the big day has arrived?
Fine.
A little nervous, maybe?
No, I don't think so. I've got my lesson plan pretty well worked out.
Along the lines that you outlined to me the other day?
Yes, but today I want to spend the period getting the students interested in the broader aspects of math. Sort of an orientation to our work this term.
You know, I'm glad you said getting the students interested. That's really the teacher's first job. If we as a teacher's college haven't helped you do that, then we've really failed. Good morning.
Good morning.
I want you to feel that this class is yours. I'll be in the back of the room, but pretend like I'm not there.
Mathematics is... Mathematics is the queen of the sciences. It is not only one of the oldest sciences in human history. Even the ancient mathematicians and philosophers such as Euclid, Pythagoras, and Archimedes, and many others who solved many problems, were ignorant of the present-day easy arithmetical methods of adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. We can't expect to learn them all in 1 year or 2, or even 3. I've written them down because I think you should have some idea of the vastness of mathematics, of the many ways it influences our daily lives. As I was about to say, mathematics is an exact science. You can depend upon mathematics. Am I boring you fellows?
No, sir.
I suppose you boys are taking down notes of this discussion. Let me see that paper. Is this some new kind of tic-tac-toe you boys have learned to play?
No, sir. It's a basketball play we're working out for Friday's game.
I hardly think that a mathematics class is a place for that sort of thing. Do you? As I was saying, mathematics constitutes an exact science. When I review, This illustrates the reliability of numbers as compared with the reliability of our senses. Our senses tell us that this line is longer than this line. But in this case, our senses are misleading. The only exact answer is by actual measurement. We find that both lines are exactly the same length. Of course, this is an optical illusion. It fools us, but it doesn't fool the ruler. It's important, you see, that we depend upon numbers. I suppose you girls are on the basketball team, too.
Oh, I'm sorry. These are costume sketches for the school play.
Let's try to keep our minds on mathematics, shall we? As I was saying, thus I becomes the unknown factor, which in algebra is usually expressed by the letter x. You better get used to that letter x. It represents the unknown. It's the ultimate goal in any mathematical adventure. It's the amount of stress a bridge will stand. It's the amount of heat in the atom bomb. It's the cause of cancer. That little letter X is... Good knowledge of arithmetic is necessary. The interest equals the principal times the rate times the time. To repeat, the interest equals the principal times the rate times the time. The interest equals the principal times the rate times the time. Good knowledge of algebra is for an understanding of geometry. However, our arithmetic is more modern than algebra or geometry. Good knowledge of arithmetic is necessary in order to understand good knowledge of algebra. However, our arithmetic is more modern than either algebra or geometry. A good knowledge of arithmetic is necessary in order to understand algebra. Good knowledge of algebra is for an understanding of geometry. However, our arithmetic is more modern. So, this is teaching. I feel as I've been rung through a ringer.
You look it. And so do most of your students.
I don't get it. I tried to make this stuff interesting. Maybe I'm just not a good teacher.
That depends, Bill. You know your subject and you're enthusiastic about it. But don't forget, you have to teach boys and girls, too. You have to make math their interest.
What do you mean?
Well, let's sit down over here for a minute. I'll analyze it for you the way I did from the back of the room. First, you have to ask yourself, why are you a good mathematician, Bill?
Why, I'm just interested in it.
Yes, but why are you interested in it?
Well, for one thing, I hope to earn my living with it. I had hoped to. Then, as you know, my father's a math teacher. And, well, I just like the order and beauty of math, the precision of it.
Those are sound enough reasons. You're interested in math because you're going to make money at it. You want your father to be proud of you. And it appeals to your need for order and beauty. Those are basic human goals, Bill. And your interest in math helps you to achieve those goals. But what about those students in here today? What did you do to help them achieve some of their basic goals? Nothing. On the contrary, my boy, you bored some and frustrated others. Take those two basketball players. It happens one of those boys is the team captain. They're tremendously interested in that game. Basketball or any sport helps them to achieve some of their basic goals. And take those girls. They were interested in costumes, appearances. That's an important goal for teenage girls, Bill. And you frustrated those students, too. And when those airplanes went by, you were annoyed because the students jumped up and ran across the room. But why shouldn't they run? For nearly 40 minutes, they had been barricaded in their seats. It wasn't just curiosity that made them go to the windows. Another goal was simply to move around. And you frustrated them, too. The price of frustration was irritability and impatience. You felt it yourself. You were frustrated by your failure to get class interest. But think how badly they were frustrated.
What's the answer?
The answer is to interest them, to motivate them, to set up goals with their help, which they'll want to achieve. Between now and tomorrow, Bill, give it some thought. I'm sure there are many things that you can do. For instance, the next morning I watched Bill carefully, knowing that he'd probably been up half the night, thinking over the many things we had talked about. And now I was very eager to see what he had figured out. So he remembered the airplane incident. Yesterday, it had worked against him. Today, he would use it to advantage.
Yesterday, some of you wondered how fast those airplanes were going. Well, you know, that's a mathematical problem if I ever heard of one. What is the speed of sound? Does anyone know?
I was right. Bill must have been up half the night, and he had come up with something. With this simple device, he caught the imagination of the class. Now they were interested. In the days to follow, Bill held their interest. He incorporated into his lesson plan many practical illustrations of mathematics that were equally meaningful to his students.
The other day, some of you fellows were doping out a basketball play. You were expressing concrete things in terms of symbolic letters. In algebra, we do pretty much the same thing. We use symbolic letters to express concrete things.
The students now began to find some personal interest in the subject. Bill was doing a good job of relating mathematics to their daily experiences.
Last week, we talked a little about optical illusions. We said that numbers don't lie. Well, perhaps they don't lie, but they can be disguised. Alice? Betty? With the help of Alice and Betty, I plotted a trick to show you a practical way to disguise numbers. Alice here appears to be tall and slim, while Betty appears to be short and plump. Actually, they are both the same height and have the same waistline. Thank you, Alice.
Bill showed them that numbers weren't as cold and formidable as they appeared to be. Moreover, he gave them many opportunities to participate in demonstrations. Working together, they developed a number of interesting projects. They went outdoors. They enjoyed what they were doing, and they learned mathematics all at the same time. Bill found some good motion pictures that he worked in with his lesson plan. The projector itself provided opportunities to explore some practical problems in ratio. The work became increasingly meaningful to the students. Yes, it was an interesting class. You could tell that much just looking around. There was a lively spirit of competition which kept the students on their toes. They helped to build models which sharpened their ability to visualize. It gave them a chance to work with their hands as well as their heads. A subject area which had seemed remote and dull became alive and real. There was group spirit, too. The youngsters took pride in their progress and were encouraged to keep it up. There were other goals, too. Without boring them, Bill let them know that mathematics would help ensure a secure future. He repeatedly appealed to their need for beauty and harmony. The room took on a new appearance. It became a place where the pupils found the necessary incentives to be well-balanced, successful students. Just looking over the room, I knew that Bill's method of motivating the class would have worked equally well in any subject area.
Thinking of joining the math club, Mr. Vance?
It looks interesting enough. Your pupils certainly have responded.
They keep me on my toes.
The fellows are waiting for you down in the gym.
See what I mean?
Who is this guy Euclid, anyway?